At this point, the two gods had already unleashed everything they had, while Lava Dragon had completed its second de-evolution. Even its wings now glowed with fiery red veins. Its head had melted into lava, no trace of what it once looked like, true to the name it would later be known by. He's starting to lose his former appearance. Sigma was just having that thought when Lava Dragon opened its mouth and blasted a massive column of fire without warning. Sigma, deep in thought, didn't notice and took the hit straight to the chest, sent flying. He was shocked. He couldn't believe he didn't dodge it, or that the attack packed such insane power. Just a moment ago, all of Lava Dragon's moves felt like drizzle on his body, didn't leave a single scratch. His pride wouldn't let him admit the opponent had grown stronger. He flared out his forelimbs, summoning wind to blow the flames away, and shouted, "A couple tricks like that can't hurt me." But he was bluffing. Half his body was already scorched. The lava clung like a parasite, eating into his skin, leaving burnt bits falling off like ash. Sigma cursed under his breath. Damn it! But it wasn't over. What, did you think Brother 4 went through all that transformation for just one move? In a flash, Lava Dragon lunged and grabbed Sigma, squeezing tight so the lava could corrode his divine flesh. Before finishing him off, it brought Sigma close and stared him down with the glare of stillness. Its eyes burned into him, making Sigma squirm and scream, "Let me go!" But no way that was happening. Desperate, Sigma opened his mouth and blasted a spirit beam, punching through Lava Dragon's palm to try and escape. Lava quickly filled in the blasted hole, and the right hand reached forward, clamping down on Sigma's head. He tried to block with his limbs, but come on! The little lizard didn't stand a chance against Brother 4's brute strength. With a hand on each end, Lava Dragon roared and ripped Sigma in half. A furious feral howl tore through the air. The god of creation was torn like a brittle leaf, body shredded, blood splattering like fireworks. But the god of destruction sure knew how to rage. He stormed in right as Lava Dragon was roaring in triumph, letting out a furious howl of his own. One head rammed straight through Lava Dragon's left chest, punching a gaping hole in its darkened body, and swung a tentacle hard, slicing from Lava Dragon's shoulder all the way down to its leg. Lava Dragon screamed in pain. That slash was no joke. As the blast of bright purple spirit energy faded, En's snakehead shouted, "We won! Ha-ha!" But before the final ha came out, the lava head rose silently from the smoke. En was too close. The blast knocked his grimacing head clean off. This form of the god of destruction didn't even have a neck, but Lava Dragon still grabbed him dead on at the joint between head and body, ignoring the squirming tentacles. "I am a god, but I am being pushed back. This is really..." Inside the crushing grip, En raged. Lava Dragon's mouth opened. Waves of resonating flame blades spiraled out, carrying searing heat. En could only mutter bitterly to himself, "This is humiliating," before his limbs scattered across the ground. Tentacles fell like meat scraps. Each chunk of his body hit the dirt with a heavy thud. Standing tall in the smoke, Lava Dragon's eyes glowed as he scanned every twitch, every breath. And when he realized En's spirit energy had completely vanished and only ashes floated in the air, Lava Dragon fell into a sudden daze. Was it really over? Sigma lay on the other side of a small lava stream from Lava Dragon. Not dead, of course. The guy clung to life like a leech, but right now, he didn't dare make a move. I didn't expect him to actually have the genes for a second revolution. While Lava Dragon was still dazed, Sigma quietly spread the wings hidden beneath his fur and shot up into the sky. He had been crawling this whole time just to sneak behind Lava Dragon, and when Brother 4 wasn't looking, he took off. He flapped hard, and after flying a short distance, he turned midair to look back, laughing loud and proud. "Ha! I'm out of here! You can't stop me!" But from behind came a whoosh, a massive molten fireball right on his tail, impossible to dodge. With a sharp boom, Sigma was swallowed whole by the fireball. He lost control, tumbling through the air, struggling to escape the flaming sphere. Eventually, he broke free, body scorched, black smoke pouring off him, and crash-landed just outside the inner city. He didn't move. He lay there like a pile of dried dung under the sun, eyes wide open, looking dead as dead gets. This is not the end. Pop! From one of those wide-open, glassy eyes, a grotesque hand covered in slime punched out, piercing through the eyeball. Blood gushed from the ruined socket as Sigma, now a hideous, faceless thing with nothing but fangs, clawed his way out of his previous form's eye. Standing before the wormhole device, the teleportation gate, this thing could skip through time and space in a flash. Fueled by rage over losing and desperate to bring something back for his master, Sigma decided, "I'm taking this with me." The portal was inactive now, just sitting there, and Sigma swiped it with ease. It looked small, but taking the gate was no problem for him. Lava Dragon probably still sensed one more lingering spiritual presence, but he was too tired to care. The massive fireball had already pushed him past his limit. He collapsed to his knees as the de-evolution form faded away, leaving behind his scarred, broken body. He was so exhausted his eyes could barely stay open. Blood still flowed. He tried to stand, but the world spun, and he fell backward into the rubble. He was bitter, furious at himself for letting even one of them escape. Was the portal device their true goal? I have to warn. But then his mind drifted. Everything he thought he needed to do, gone, blank. Out of nowhere, an image surfaced in his mind, a weeping willow tree, distant and dreamlike. Now he just wanted to call out, "Master." So many things left unsaid. Was there still a breath lingering in the air, or had he truly vanished into nothingness? Meanwhile, Xiaolan was riding White Tiger, racing full speed with a swarm of tigers and spider rats from Town 3, never stopping once. Thanks to Xiaolan's ability to track spiritual energy, the moment they stepped into City 4, they'd know exactly where Lava Dragon was. But then her face darkened. Lava Dragon's presence had vanished? How could that be? He was so strong. How could his presence just disappear? At the same time, far off on Dragon Island, Yuziyu could sense the same. Something stirred in him, just a faint, uneasy feeling, and he glanced north, towards City 4, where Lava Dragon had ruled. Troubled by a vague worry, the battle dust slowly settled. Lava Dragon remained just as he was, head raised toward the sky. At the very least, he had fulfilled his final wish. He just wanted to sleep forever, but some annoying voice kept calling out, "Lava Dragon! Lava Dragon!" He struggled hard just to open his eyes. Through a blurry vision, he saw a human girl with her mouth wide open, yelling at him. At that moment, he didn't realize it was Xiaolan calling his name. Her spirit-sensing ability kicked into high gear. She stretched her neck and yelled, "Spider! Life essence!" The spider leaped to the tip of Lava Dragon's tusk, then hurried down to his chest. No more measuring in vials. This needed to be counted in jugs. One jug poured out, then another. The life essence gushed like a stream, but on Lava Dragon's massive body, it was barely a spider's trickle of pee. Everyone waited anxiously. Compared to the tigers, Brother 4 was huge. After emptying that much life essence, his eyelids opened just a tiny bit more. His pupils twitched slightly, then stopped, gaze vacant. Lava Dragon was still unconscious. His body was simply too massive. The life essence wasn't enough. Xiaolan panicked. She had brought way more than usual, enough to save a whole squad of 10 mutant beasts, but who could have known he'd be this badly hurt? She jumped onto White Tiger, rushed over to Honey Badger, and yelled, "Flathead! Zap him in the heart!" Little Bro didn't hesitate. It leapt onto Lava Dragon's gaping wound, its whole body wrapped in intense spiritual lightning. It turned itself into a living defibrillator, repeating the motion non-stop. It knew, if it stopped even once, the others wouldn't know what to do next if Lava Dragon didn't wake up. Xiaolan was scared out of her mind. What do I do? Lava Dragon's going to die. All the hopes were placed on Honey Badger. Xiaolan's heart ached. The thought of Lava Dragon dying here stabbed at her. Desperate and unable to take it anymore, she clenched her teeth, shut her eyes, and sobbed. It's too late. The Honey Badger's tears and snot were pouring down. It zapped like mad, screaming at the top of its lungs, "Don't die!" Its vision was fading, but it knew one thing: keep going. No breaks. No matter how tired, keep going. Even the slow-thinking Honey Badger could feel something was wrong. Lava Dragon's heartbeat was almost gone. "No, don't die, please." It sobbed so hard it was nearly choking. Suddenly, thwump, a gentle sound like a fan sweeping through the air cut through the cries. In that moment, the sunlight seemed to break through the gloom, and it really did shine, right when they appeared. A ribbon of red, twisted in the air, a flow of water element spiritual energy swirled with the breeze. No one had expected it. White Crane and White Fox appeared side by side in the most sudden and dazzling way. Oh, the radiant light from that pair shimmered into Xiaolan's pupils, leaving the girl stunned for a moment. Honey Badger was no different. It completely forgot it was in the middle of a cardiac rescue, snot streaming right into its mouth, yet its jaw was still hanging open, gawking at the celestial beings come to life. The arrogance in those eyes made everyone quickly fall in line. Xiaolan was the fastest to react. She clasped her hands together in a sincere bow. "God!" The divine crane didn't reply, but the black blob dangling from its foot answered for it. Wine Deity, with a massive jug strapped to his back, almost as big as the fermentation vat he used for brewing. One look at his dumb face, and all the divine, heavenly aura in the air vanished without a trace. Xiaolan didn't bother hiding her disdain, but before she could throw shade, Wine Deity had already leapt down onto the upturned belly of the lava dragon, landing not far from the wound. He placed the carefully tied-up jug on the ground and grinned. "Here, hurry and use this on Lava Dragon. I brought enough life essence for the whole gang." The city was still tilting, the ground still rising in blocks just like before, but now it was filled with joy. Lava Dragon had come back to life, towering as massive as ever. The wound was still open, the bleeding had stopped. Not fully healed, but the danger had passed. The moment he woke up, Brother Four immediately thanked everyone for their help. But then, before he even finished, Xiaolan knew exactly what he was worried about and blurted out, "The wormhole device, right? They want to use that tech to get to Earth." "Exactly." Lava Dragon explained that the wormhole device would let them travel much faster. The distance between two planets was just too vast. It would take a whole month to get to Earth, and an invasion army would take even longer. That's why they were desperate for this technology. For now, Lava Dragon turned to thank the panda who'd been standing there with arms crossed, waiting for someone to acknowledge his presence. Bro 9, thanks this time. He had been waiting forever, barely got the thanks out before he burst into loud laughter. "See, without me, y'all are hopeless." Xiaolan pointed at his face when she asked, "Wait, how the heck did you even get here?" He frowned, tapped his forehead, and thought hard. "How did I get here?" Then it hit him. "Oh right, I think someone brought me. Was it a white pig or something?" He couldn't remember a damn thing, and neither could the rest of the crew, who had just been gushing about gods descending from the heavens. So everyone burst out laughing, not knowing that behind a half-busted house, White Crane was quietly sobbing. White pig, seriously? He was clearly a divine introvert, White Crane, but the whole crew forgot the whole vital part. Xiaolan looked around and suddenly felt something was missing. Where's Flathead and the mutated boar? Even she was flying up to search. There was no sign of them. Ask Wine Deity, and his brain goes haywire. What? Who? I haven't seen anyone since earlier. Like, not at all. And Golden Monkey hadn't shown up either. Weren't they usually a squad? Right as the battle in the city ended, far, far away, the mutant suddenly shivered. Its third eye snapped open and stared straight toward the city. The strange look didn't escape the life tree's attention. "My lord, what's wrong?" After a moment of thought, the answer came cold and brief. "N is dead." And Sigma, for some reason, had stopped moving. It ran out of the city without a single obstacle, but its body wasn't nearly as strong as the others in its kind, so before long, it had to stop and rest. Sigma slumped down, gasping for breath, eyes fixed on its bloodied hand, the same one that had carried the wormhole device for too long. It knew the earlier injuries had drained too much of its strength. It tried channeling some energy to open a small rift, and a faint crackling sound rang out. A dim light flickered, then vanished with a snap. Sigma sighed in frustration. Not even enough power to open a void gate. Otherwise, why the hell would it be lugging this giant door on foot like this? No choice but to take a break. Sigma sat beside the wormhole gate, panting like a dog. Only thing missing was its tongue hanging out. But what it didn't know, right behind it, Golden Monkey was charging straight toward its location. It did wonder for a brief second why Sigma had stopped, but didn't care enough to pause. It kept its head down and bolted that way, only eased its pace a bit when it noticed two more energy signatures catching up from behind. Not strangers, familiar ones. It was Honey Badger and Mutated Boar, right on its tail. Seeing Golden Monkey suddenly stop on a tree branch, Honey Badger called out in surprise, "Brother Monkey!" Without a word, Golden Monkey launched itself back and smacked Honey Badger right in the gut with its staff, hard enough to make the heavens cry. Mutated Boar didn't get hit, but stood there frozen, stunned, watching one friend whack the other and having absolutely no clue what was going on. Now rewind a bit. Back when Golden Monkey first sensed the strange energy sneaking into the city, it had rushed in to help defend. But by the time it reached the center, the battle was already over. And when the lava dragon got healed, standing tall again, and the mystical beasts around it started cheering, he's awake, it's all fine now." Just hearing that made Golden Monkey's eyes brim with tears. That's why it had dashed through the canyon, the same place Sigma had fled, to chase after him. Since this trip was a quiet solo mission, Golden Monkey greeted each of them with a whack of its staff, knocked both of them out cold on the spot. After knocking the two kids out, Golden Monkey dragged each one, scraping along, into the forest. The monkey finally managed to pull those two big bodies into the hollow of an old tree. Then, being all thoughtful, it even went to pick up some leaves and patted the inside so its friends could sleep more comfortably. Though both of their heads had swollen lumps, Honey Badger still managed to fall into a deep sleep. Only then did Golden Monkey feel at ease enough to turn around and leave, not forgetting to smile as a silent goodbye. If it makes it out of this alive, it'll apologize later. But for now, it had no intention of taking any other path. It kept strutting its butt and marched forward without looking back. Time passed, and still no one came to block Sigma's way. It just sat there, waiting for the strength to come back. It's time to move. It had just finished that thought when, bam, no snoopers showed up, but someone who was ready to throw hands definitely did. Sigma shot up alert, realizing it had company, but couldn't help wondering, why didn't the monkey just go straight for it? Golden Monkey stood dead center in the thick cloud of dust it had kicked up. Tiny as it was, it looked cool and tough, especially since it was a monkey, just with golden fur instead. Sigma growled in frustration. A monkey? Power surged wildly around Sigma. Its eyes burned with hatred as it glared at the monkey, then spat curses in anger. "You stinky monkey, get out of here now!" But before the last word even slipped past its teeth, Golden Monkey leapt at it. No words, just action. Honestly, its move looked kinda reckless, but that recklessness made it strike stronger, deadlier, and more direct, smack toward Sigma's face. Sigma was stunned. The staff was practically kissing its chest. It had spikes all over its body. How could that weapon pierce through? But that wasn't all. The hit landed with a boom, dirt flying everywhere, thick smoke blocking all sight. Golden Monkey had already hopped back a distance to observe carefully. That first strike was just to test the waters, see what the opponent was made of. To everyone's shock, Sigma's forearm had been sliced clean off, sent flying 5 meters away, though its body was still standing there. "I came to kill you," Golden Monkey growled, "right when you're feeling proud of how strong you've become." Sigma stood there wide-eyed, stunned. That monkey might have looked weak on paper, but clearly it had been calculating from the start, each move sharp, premeditated. While chaos wrecked the western stronghold and the crocodile territory, a massive tremor was stirring on Dragon Island too. Spirit Flower and golden-spotted swordtail butterfly immediately sensed what it meant. Their master was about to break through. Snake Woman, in the middle of messing around with a bunch of wild beasts, looked up dumbfounded. She saw roots lashing everywhere, and after a while realized not just the roots, but the spiritual energy had completely engulfed the area. Yuzi's breakthrough made the whole world here tremble. A pillar of energy shot skyward, dyeing the willow tree in a refreshing shade of green. This evolution took it to a whole new rank, and the signs of change looked pretty different from before. This level up came after absorbing the dragon soul of the White Dragon King and the evolution point from Dom. After this, he would no longer be a peak rank 5 willow tree. He'd officially become a superhuman rank 6. A snapful of strange spiritual energy was Sigma's counterattack. Its arm turned into a fang-filled cannon, replacing the one that had been chopped off, and shot out a burst of energy at the enemy. The shot hit Golden Monkey dead on, making it cough up a mouthful of blood. Just one move, and it had already crushed both the spirit and strength of its foe. Golden Monkey leaned on its staff, blood dripping down and singed fur covering its body. But its eyes, those eyes stayed exactly the same. Clearly, it had taken a heavy hit. Any other creature would have already thrown in the towel by now. Whether in power or speed, Sigma outclassed it. It had no overwhelming strength, no crocodile bloodline. Why the hell was it still standing? Even after taking the blow, that stubborn monkey shot up like a rocket. Spiritual energy was closing in from all directions. Clearly, others had caught wind of the ruckus. It was now just a matter of time. Sigma spread its claws wide. It had made up its mind. The next move would be to kill. No point running. Golden Monkey was clearly chasing it to the ends of the earth. Only one choice left. Go all in with the kill shot. The deadliest option, the Fang slaughter formation. Die! Sigma lunged upward, commanding the spikes to shoot into the air. It expected to see fear flicker across Golden Monkey's face. Maybe it even slam on the brakes. Not a chance. The monkey didn't even blink, let alone slow down. A dozen fangs stabbed into a single spot, blood spraying everywhere, dyeing the top deep red. For a second, it looked like Golden Monkey had been impaled. But then, cracks started ringing out from the spikes, one after another. What kind of freakish power was this? Sigma froze in horror as it saw the monkey, drenched in its own blood, point its staff forward and charge straight through every obstacle, smashing it right into Sigma's face. Thunk! The jaw armor cracked open with a huge hole. The staff rammed in deep, and Golden Monkey used every ounce of strength it had left to push it in further. Sigma was so caught off guard, it couldn't even fight back, just toppled backward. Golden Monkey didn't ease up one bit. The staff drove deeper and deeper, until it tore the god's head wide open into a gaping pit. When there was nothing left to drive through, Golden Monkey swung hard and blasted off what was left of the head. The neck dangled, hollow and limp, the remains of Sigma's head in chunks, yet Golden Monkey's eyes didn't soften. It was like it expected Sigma to sprout 9 more heads and go for a comeback. Even as the body collapsed and blood pooled everywhere, Golden Monkey stayed airborne, not daring to take its eyes off the corpse. When it finally landed, its scraped legs hit the ground with a thud. You could tell just how exhausted it was. Giving itself a moment, it leaned on the staff, panting heavily. Was the enemy dead? In a gloomy sky, with clouds drifting in and out, making it impossible to tell if it was day or night, the pale red sand dunes were just as somber. There wasn't a soul in sight. Not even a breeze stirred when a figure in a long cloak walked slowly, step by step. Set was walking, then suddenly stopped and frowned, something odd flashing in its eyes. "So it's you, huh? That overwhelming stench of blood, it's coming from you?" Not far away, there was a mountain of beast corpses, mutated beasts of all kinds. The stench of blood wasn't just from Golden Monkey, it came from them too. "You're something else, huh? Took down all those raging beasts on your own?" They were all beasts under Dom's command. Ones Golden Monkey had slain on its way back to the center after witnessing the resurrection of Lava Dragon. Set's voice was indifferent, like it didn't care. "You managed all that alone. Got stronger for revenge, huh? That's a fair reason, I guess. Just that once revenge is done, what do you even gain?" Golden Monkey sat cross-legged, facing Set. Between them, a small campfire flickered. Through the firelight, its eyes were dry and clear as it spoke of vengeance. "Once revenge is done, others will fear you. They won't bully you anymore. Your tribe can live safely on top of the trees." Set asked again, "But won't they strike back?" "Of course," Golden Monkey replied softly. Its body hunched a bit as it added, "You take revenge on them, they take revenge on you, and so it never ends. Then I'll wipe out their whole tribe in the first strike of revenge." The hatred, the vengeance in that voice was so strong it could send chills down anyone's spine. But Set just looked calmly at Golden Monkey and asked, "Aren't you worried about corrupting your morals?" Golden Monkey had never really thought seriously about morality. It simply said, "Those are human morals. What I want is to give my tribe a place to live." As it said that, its spiritual energy surged. The obsession had burrowed too deep. There was no pulling it out now, no matter how anyone tried. Set simply said, "I see," and asked no more. Meanwhile, Golden Monkey braced itself, ready in case the other tried to lecture it. "Come with me." Set stood up, staff in hand, looking down at Golden Monkey. "There's somewhere I want to take you to." Over the lands of Azure Star's territory, a streak of blue light suddenly shot across the sky. It was a stone, one that held the clan leader's imprint from a tribe deep within the misty mountains, blazing through the air like a bolt of lightning. It slammed into the ground, unleashing a golden shockwave next to something else that had just been hurled down, kicking up a storm of dust. From the opposite side of the smoke cloud, something else was flung away, dragging a trail of white fur along the ground. It was the mutated boar, a friend of Golden Monkey and Honey Badger, just took a brutal hit from something and looked like it was on the brink of death, body torn to shreds. In the middle of the battlefield was Sigma, lifting Honey Badger into the air by the neck, its throat gripped tight. The violent tremors earlier were clearly the handiwork of the god of creation, who had just wrecked the two beasts. Honey Badger dangled in the air, mouth gaping open and unable to close. It was completely overpowered. But who was he, really? One of the 3 Avengers who feared neither heaven nor earth. How could he be scared of this thing that was neither beast nor god? The beast suddenly reached out, claws flaring, grabbing the wrist of the god of creation. It opened its mouth and let out a roar, pouring out both blood and spiritual energy. That was its signature move, turning spiritual energy into lightning, frying the opponent to a crisp. The range was wide enough to hit 5 Sigma at once, but the power? Not even enough to make one of them flinch. Sigma stood there like nothing happened, arms still raised high, sneering at Honey Badger. "With that kind of attack? Useless. They'll join you in the afterlife." He wasn't even talking to Honey Badger. He was aiming those words at Golden Monkey, who was still trapped inside the spike formation. A moment of distraction from the surprise attack was all it took. Now every sharp tip was turning toward Golden Monkey, ready to skewer him in a heartbeat. Just a bit longer, and they'll all follow you down. The moment all the spikes lunged in, Golden Monkey's eyes flew open. That bastard just said he wanted to kill his friends? Honey Badger, mutated boar. How many times had the 3 of them fought side by side? How many times had he stood there helpless, watching his friends beaten and bloodied, teetering on the edge of life and death? And the Monkey King, his idol, who had given everything to protect the monkey tribe. What had he done in return? Nothing. Always saying he wanted revenge, but had he ever really avenged anything? No, Golden Monkey's rage exploded, a blinding fury radiating from the eyes of that tiny beast. In that exact moment, as the spikes came crashing in with a thunderous boom, his whole figure vanished without a trace. Done with the monkey, Sigma tightened his grip around Honey Badger's neck. Seeing it foam at the mouth made him even more pleased. He wanted to torture it for a while, lift it up as a warning. "You're next," he roared. Honey Badger had nothing left to fight with. All it could do now was wait for death. Suddenly, the king seal stone shot up into the sky, changed direction mid-air, and smashed down to the ground with a deafening crash. This time, it landed not far from where Sigma stood. The shockwave and burst of dust brought Honey Badger back to its senses instantly. Both it and Sigma turned to see what had just caused that violent surge of spiritual power. A hand rose from the ground. No, not the ground, from the mountain wall itself. Sigma's eyes went wide. "No way," he stammered. His sentence hung in the air unfinished, and the grip on Honey Badger's neck loosened. The beast was so overwhelmed it almost cried. Its throat was too tight to say a word. Just a joyful "ah" escaped. Far away in the desert abyss was the site of the third spiritual energy eruption. It was like a spiritual energy wave, but instead of sweeping across all beings on Earth, the Western Wasteland's desert had one singular energy zone, that abyss. Set had brought Golden Monkey there, explaining that every creature, even humans, all craved the immense spiritual power contained in that place, constantly charging in and being ripped apart, bodies crushed by the sheer force of it. Because inside, it wasn't just energy, it was full of souls, souls that had lost their bodies. Set didn't explain right away why he brought Golden Monkey here. Instead, he told him, "In Misty Mountains, you all have an Iron Eater beast. It has a powerful ability. It can absorb all spiritual ore and convert it into its own power. With that little spiky hair and fluttering red cloak, y'all probably already guessed who that is. And one of the beast's most important abilities was, it could absorb without suffering any side effects." Set led Golden Monkey to the edge of the abyss, looked down, then turned and said, "But your ability, it's even stronger than that. That beast can only absorb spiritual minerals, but your ultimate absorption can take in all beneficial matter. Maybe you can conquer this abyss. Keep growing stronger down there. Keep absorbing. Use the spirit crystal behind you to purify the souls here. And remember, don't take a single wrong step, because if you fail, you'll be shattered by the souls in this place, erased completely." And when it returned from the desert abyss, the once small Golden Monkey now looked like a horrifying hairy beast from some Titan world, breathing out white smoke like a demon. It stared at Sigma with eyes almost blank, but the hatred was clear. Then, from nowhere, horizontal beams of spiritual energy shot out, blasting everything in their path and tearing the ground apart. Sigma dodged one, instantly dropped Honey Badger. But right in front of him, another beam came barreling in. After the Golden Monkey left, Set stood all alone on the red sand. Under a sky lazily draped with clouds, he looked cold and distant, just like the fearsome ruler of the Western Wastes. But in truth, sweat was pouring down Set's face. He stood frozen, stunned by disbelief. He thought he could siphon off some spiritual energy, at least a tenth. Set looked down at the abyss, now completely void of energy. The hellish scene from before, gone without a trace. He never saw it coming. Everything had been sucked clean, even the souls down there. The words, "nothing left," got stuck in his throat. Well, what's done is done. No use crying over it now. Thick smoke billowed from the lands of City Number 4, swallowing the green forest whole. After a moment, a massive pair of eyes peeked out through the haze. They squinted, then a sharp-toothed mouth shot upwards with a bone-rattling roar. Golden Monkey looked like it had been reincarnated into a muscle-bound beast. Only a patch of golden fur on its head remained the same. Everything else had become a hulking, solid body. It roared and stepped forward, shaking the entire forest as if the ground itself was flipping over. Little weaklings like Honey Badger got caught up in the chaos. Terrified at the sight of his friend's new form, all he could do was wail, "I'm gonna die falling like this!" Golden Monkey, up in the sky, couldn't hear him. Luckily, Mutated Boar dashed out just in time, using his thick fur to catch his friend mid-fall. But the forest was a wreck, its shape completely lost. A column of smoke blasted straight into the sky, separating itself from the thick haze. The ground had cracked open, and from that abyss shot up Sigma, tattered and beaten, barely hanging on, breathing like a dog in summer. What happened? Why did its spiritual power suddenly? Before Sigma could even locate it, a beam of golden light whooshed past and slammed into him. He looked like a crab trying to cling to a rock in a storm, but he couldn't hold on. That beam tore through 3 or 4 mountain ridges, breaking their peaks and launching him clear to the other side. No sooner had he lifted his head than the air around him rippled violently. A massive golden hand, transformed and terrifying, came crashing down like someone smashing a mosquito, except this hand hit with terrifying force, sending the earth tumbling with it. Golden Monkey's eyes bulged as if that blow carried every ounce of his power. The shockwaves were so fierce that Mutated Boar had to struggle hard just to carry Honey Badger away. Every time they touched the ground, it collapsed or slid away, their short legs barely managing to escape. But Sigma wasn't just hit physically. The spiritual force crushed down on him so hard it felt like his whole body was getting flattened. Only one eye still functioned, and even that one had to squint through the pain as he cursed through gritted teeth. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! After a fierce round of pummeling, seeing that Sigma had weakened, Golden Monkey finally backed off and took his stance again. He stepped right out into the open. Sigma's form had changed completely. He'd taken on the look of a reptilian beast again, like the one he once copied using the tooth of Lava Dragon, only this time his skin bulged with thick, prominent veins. He was mad at himself for holding back too much, for not going all in from the start. Now look where that got him, being toyed with like this. You damn dirty monkey, I must kill you today! Golden Monkey stood with his back to the teleport gate. Now that he knew that was what Sigma wanted to steal, there's no way he was letting it go. Beneath Golden Monkey's towering frame, his two little revenge buddies stared wide-eyed up at him, awestruck by his size. But that wasn't all. Golden Monkey wasn't just huge, he was agile too. With just a flick of his tail, a booming shockwave echoed behind him. That monkey tail whipped down like a leather whip, denting whatever it hit. Sigma started feeling uneasy. Why isn't he attacking me? Then the tail swerved right toward the teleport gate, and it hit him. This monkey's about to destroy it. Stop, he roared, furious. The whole fight, they hadn't touched that gate once. Why now? Sigma needed that thing to report back, to salvage the death of his dear friend. He needed something that would make the boss happy. Boom, the portal was smashed to bits. Sigma couldn't take it anymore. His last hope was destroyed right before his eyes. If he didn't fight to the death now, he'd never swallow this rage. He flew straight at Golden Monkey, roaring, "I'll kill you right now," calmly waiting for this very moment, for his enemy to charge straight at him. Golden Monkey clenched his fist. Golden light burst forth, muscles swelling with raw power. The monkey slammed a punch right into Sigma's gut, bending him in half. There was a brief, soft recoil where skin met skin. Then the air itself compressed as the punch launched Sigma high into the sky. From below, he looked like a flailing lizard who couldn't even twist himself upright. The hit hurt so bad, blood sprayed in every direction. Burning with hatred, Sigma hadn't run out of tricks yet. The sky above lit up with a strange light. From where Sigma was, it started small, but as it drew near, each glowing thing grew, first to the size of a leaf, then quickly into dozens, hundreds of sharpened daggers, all aimed downward, waiting for the signal to strike. Golden Monkey saw them coming, and truth be told, he wasn't exactly the best at defense. He had fur, not scales. A barrage like that might as well sign up for a heavenly choir. Sigma knew this too, so he commanded them all to rain down at once. The sky lit up in a flash. Better hope your skin's thick enough, or you're about to get turned into a damn beehive. Honey Badger and Mutated Boar were terrified, shouting in unison for Golden Monkey to run. He couldn't block that attack, but the beast didn't move. It just stood there, watching the deadly light show with a calm gaze. Sigma was thrilled, but then, out of nowhere, Golden Monkey tilted his head back and spit out a sharp beak, just like a bird's, only much darker than his usual golden fur. Whoosh! Feathers burst forth like a rescue squad arriving. A massive pair of wings unfolded from his fur. Each feather was enormous. In a flash, they snapped together into a full-blown shield. Golden Monkey remained unharmed as the rain of daggers clattered down on the feathers. They looked soft, but turned out to be tough as steel. The impacts made metallic clinks, pleasant to anyone's ears but Sigma's, who was now furious. How is that even possible? From above, Golden Monkey looked bizarre. A giant ape with the wings of an eagle. He shook off the blades and daggers, then inhaled sharply through his beak. Spiraling waves of spiritual energy formed, countering the last wave of blades, exploding in midair with a massive boom. Too bad for the two gossip-loving critters below. While they were still scrambling to escape, hundreds of blades were raining down on the ground. As they ran for their lives, a shadow loomed overhead. They looked up. Something green and smoking was falling fast. It was Sigma. The so-called god smashed into the ground with a bone-crunching thud, all limbs flailing upward. He was trying to get up when a massive foot stomped straight into his gut, pinning him in place. Sigma's blurry vision could only see a mouth pouring out intense spiritual power. Where was Golden Monkey? Gone. In his place stood a being like an Egyptian god, bird head, wings, and a ripped humanoid body. The strength, the form, it was overwhelming. Sigma, the so-called god of creation, couldn't create a single thing to save himself. All he could do was roar in frustration from under that foot. "You'll never kill me! I'm a god, you damn monkey!" A giant head that looked just like mutated boars lunged from the bird's beak. For a second, they thought Golden Monkey had eaten his friend. But this head had the same golden tuft of hair, just like Golden Monkey's. Sigma, desperate, tried one last trick. He summoned a blast of spiritual energy, hoping it would be like last time, his ace against close-range attackers. But across from him came another surge of energy, just as fierce. "You think I'm scared of you? God or not, today you die here." Golden Monkey's power punched right through Sigma's spiritual shield and slammed him in the mouth. His whole body sank like a pillow getting stomped on. The energy didn't stop. It spread, swallowing Sigma entirely in a heat so intense it felt like an oven was trying to cook him from the inside. The power gap now was beyond massive. The spiritual energy Golden Monkey was pouring out seemed ready to incinerate the entire land, not just Sigma. Eventually it stopped, revealing what had been spewing that energy. A creature has nothing related to Monkey physically. Far away, the legs still managed to stand, though the ground beneath had been shattered not by Sigma's strength, but by Golden Monkey's earlier attack. The god looked like a kitchen rag that had been used for about 11 years, coughing up blood while crawling across the dirt like some pest freshly sprayed with insecticide. He looked so pitiful that no one expected him to still have enough energy to strike back. But he raised his hand and, with a decisive slash, a flash of green light burst out. His eyes, burning with hatred, locked onto Golden Monkey with deadly precision. 3 glowing slashes struck straight toward Golden Monkey's head, forcing it to raise its thick, muscular arm to block. The wounds weren't deep, just a bit of blood, but the sting and annoyance from the blow were enough to make it roar furiously. Golden Monkey bellowed in rage, and across from it, Sigma dragged his bulky body with those skinny legs and crawled forward to attack again. "Take this, you little punk." Golden Monkey swung upward with a massive blow, infused with spiritual force, trying to launch him into the air again like before. But you can't use the same move twice on a crafty bastard. Sigma took the punch on purpose, just to close the distance, and then sank his razor-sharp teeth deep into Golden Monkey's chest. His fangs drove all the way in, tearing through flesh, refusing to let go despite the beast's howls and its desperate struggle to yank him off. Sharp spikes on Sigma's body quickly wrapped around Golden Monkey, or more accurately, his tail suddenly extended, coiling around the beast several times and tightening. Even those golden wings from before were bent and pinned. "It's not over yet," Sigma snarled, spitting out a mouthful of blood just to get those few words out. He didn't bother using the sharp claws on his hands. Nope, he went for the bone-devouring fangs. True to its name, thousands of dagger-like teeth burst forth and stabbed inward. Blood gushed out thick and heavy, splattering onto the white fangs, like they drilled straight into the beast's marrow. The sight was brutal, hard not to feel bad for Golden Monkey, but gotta admit, this god was a savage warrior. Sigma's attacks shifted fluidly between long-range and melee, and every close-up move was a death sentence. Sigma arched his body and spat a torrent of blood-red energy into the center of his coiled tail, just in case this monkey tried some shape-shifting snake stunt to slip away. He blasted the earth dozens of meters around for good measure. Sigma's energy was nothing like Golden Monkey's. It glowed red like blood, seeping into everything. The mutated boar and honey badger didn't even dare get close. Right in the middle of Sigma's power show, a hand burst up from below and clamped his mouth shut. His face froze. How the hell did Golden Monkey move without him noticing? He looked down and saw those freaky wide eyes glaring up at him, stepped totally expressionless. No explanation, no words. Sigma tried to speak. He had so much to say, but even with his mouth covered, he hissed through gritted teeth. "Why? Do you have an immortal body or something? Like, bro, you already saw it. Why even ask?" Golden Monkey still had tricks up his sleeve. His wings flapped to create a bit of space, pried loose the spiked tail, and then opened his jaws wide enough for something else to emerge. A body, twisting like a python, slithered out. Next came a golden beast head with fangs curving upward from below. They chomped down, again and again like rabid monsters, tearing into nothing but Sigma's body. Even that tight tail that had coiled him up was now shredded, chunks of it hanging loose. Sigma's body was being ripped open from the inside. Terrifying. Around that golden head, Dozens of other beast heads started emerging, all crowded together like some freakish monster parade. They sprouted right out of Golden Monkey's body, some with eyes, some without, but every last one had rows of razor-sharp teeth, ready to bite into anything they could reach. At this point, Sigma couldn't even crawl anymore. His regeneration power? Done. Energy? Drained. He could only stare at the monstrous form in front of him. Could you even call this thing Golden Monkey anymore? It looked more like a demon lord ruling over hell, with countless eyes and bloodthirsty jaws. As a god, am I going to die here? Sigma didn't say it out loud. Golden Monkey could tell. He was on the brink, and since he had the upper hand now, he didn't mind showing off a little. I've absorbed countless souls in the desert abyss. Among them, 72 were the strongest, and I haven't even fully digested them yet. Now they're all inside me, itching to devour you. Golden Monkey's words were followed by a wide-open mouth dripping with saliva, making Sigma jolt in realization. This monkey's body could devour. Sigma's pupils flickered with fear, but he still forced out a threatening laugh. Haha, even if you kill me, it's meaningless. The gods will only grow stronger. Oh, really? Trying to threaten us now? All 72 heads lunged forward like starving beasts, and while Sigma kept talking, they sank their fangs into his head, his neck, his back, and his body, biting, tearing, gnawing on every scrap of flesh and bone. Sigma's laughter never stopped. On the contrary, it turned more manic than ever. Ha! Despair will consume you all. He wanted to shout more, but the devouring was too quick. His blood and flesh were swallowed clean. The god of creation was turned into hot pot meat for the beast heads, bones and all. And while they feasted, Golden Monkey's main body sat at a distance, calmly watching like it was enjoying the show. Blood sprayed sky high, but its monkey tail swayed lightly, as if none of this was a big deal. It looked like hell itself had descended right in front of Honey Badger and the mutated boar, making both of them freeze in place. The thick stench of blood filled their nostrils, and the gruesome scene had one of them biting their lip, the other grinding their teeth. Even tiny droplets of blood had splattered all the way to their spot. So brutal. Out of nowhere, the seal stone lit up without warning. All the beast heads were sucked back into Golden Monkey's back, the reverse of how they'd emerged. Its massive body was then lifted into the air, wrapped in a wild whirlwind. It spun crazily for a long while, and when it finally stopped, it spit out Golden Monkey's battered, wounded form. The monkey had returned to its original form, tiny, even smaller than the stone itself. Both fell from a great height and hit the ground with a thunderous boom. Then, everything went quiet. Far away, the Emperor suddenly went silent. After a long pause, he finally muttered, "En and Sigma are dead." His eyes narrowed, full of confusion. The other gods, hearing this, freaked the hell out. What? All eyes turned toward their commander. He calmly drew 2 small circles of light toward himself and said, "Our power, all of it comes from the Lord." He split his strength into 12 parts. That's you, the 12 gods. With a flick of his hand, the 2 light orbs shattered into chunks, like shards of glass falling onto the heads of the remaining 10 gods. Strangely, the moment the shards touched their bodies, a surge of spiritual energy enveloped them. A tall one raised a clawed hand, examining it. It seems their deaths were not meaningless. At least they made us stronger. But this also proves our enemy is no joke. We can't underestimate them. Who would have thought that Freak Tree's subordinate was this strong? If they knew it was just Golden Monkey alone who killed Sigma, they'd be shook for real. Meanwhile, back at the meeting, orders had been given. This time, no teleportation arrays, no more waiting. Everyone must complete their mission quickly. It's time to launch the invasion. Sure enough, the Tree of Life had summoned a meeting. At this point, the layout of the entire planet was complete, except for one area, Dom's territory, which had been taken over by the mutant tree. The gods stayed silent, listening to their leader speak. The magic crystal stones they had gathered earlier, all looted and divided up by the mutant tree's underlings. Gather the army, attack the mutant tree's territory. Even if the whole army is annihilated, it doesn't matter. The missing magic crystals are transported from other places. His eyes burned with fury, pupils fixed so intensely it made your skin crawl. We must complete the transfer procedure. We must welcome the descent of the great emperor. All the gods shouted in unison, without a single complaint like usual. Yes! Meanwhile, in the peaceful third city, White Tiger City, things were a little more chaotic that day due to a surprise arrival. But everything soon quieted down, as all eyes turned toward what seemed to be just a normal tree. Except, there was a hollow in it glowing gold. Peeking inside, no one expected to find Golden Monkey lying there, completely still, eyes shut, body unconscious. The external wounds had healed, but it hadn't woken up. Honey Badger just stood there with mutated boar all day, and seeing that, Thorn felt bad. She couldn't do much, so she came over to comfort them. Who would have thought the golden monkey could have power on par with a lava dragon? That actually beat a god of this world, but the energy inside it was chaotic, unstable. Someone had to check it thoroughly. Even though Thorn had some life essence left behind by her master, she could only handle physical injuries. As for this long-lasting coma, there was only one person who could deal with that. Yule, and the scientists were scrambling to reboot a wormhole gate. The chaos that had erupted in Giant Crocodile City had lit a fire under them, pushing the need to get the gate running faster. As the light vanished, and out stepped two King Kongs and the bald scientist from the fourth city, all looking totally confused. Behind them came the evacuated citizens, still dazed from the chaos. By the time they'd arrived here, it was already the next day. No wonder they looked so stunned. "We're finally out. Thought we'd be lost in there forever." The moment the wormhole got them out, it shut down completely. Just thinking about it gave them chills. Yule did a quick head count and ordered, "Send these refugees to the first city, Nine Tails City, for now. Once we rebuild the fourth city, we'll bring them back." The invasion of the fourth city had passed, but now all that was left was the silent wait for the counterattack plan to begin. At the same time, the outer edges of the territories echoed with non-stop skirmishes. Though not yet full-scale, the attacks were relentless. Beasts from this planet kept invading from the outside, provoking the mutant beasts into non-stop battle. To avoid another straight-up ambush like what happened in Giant Crocodile City, the leader of the second and fifth cities took the lead to intercept. That's right, Flash and Bull Demon. One small, one huge, an unlikely pair that worked shockingly well together. With brute strength, gravity manipulation, and a massive axe, Bull Demon charged in alone and took out 4 or 5 massive mutant beasts in one go. He was like a war general smashing through enemy lines. Meanwhile, Flash zipped through like lightning, smacking each beast with a flick. Its scythe-like arms, powered up exponentially, combined with insane speed, turned it into a nightmare for mutant beasts of the same rank. The magic beasts aligned with Dom's war god forces were gradually pushed to the outskirts, clustering tightly together under the command of one massive beast, trying to block the advance of the ant and the bull. "Hold the line! Don't let them cross this boundary!" The battle cries echoed through the land. Flash and Bull Demon didn't come alone. They had a whole army of subordinates followed behind. If it was a numbers game, they had numbers. "Go! We break it down!" Another day passed at the border. Beast corpses piled up everywhere, both theirs and ours, lying stiff among overturned earth and rubble, dust thick in the air. The leader of the magic beast horde was now barely twitching its bloodied little mouth, voice hoarse as it squeezed out a word. Don't kill me!" That giant beast got its upper skull lifted up with one hand by Flash. Its eye rolled to catch a glimpse of that tiny ant-like figure, and the sight made it shudder. That wild, bloodthirsty energy from earlier, totally gone. "Then answer me this," Flash snapped. "Why do y'all keep attacking this place?" He needed a straight answer, no messing around. "I can't tell you." The answer wasn't not the one Flash was waiting for. "Then die." As soon as he finished one off, another weird spiritual pressure rolled in from behind. Bam! The bull and the ant bro turned to look, and the moment they did, their eyes sharpened with both caution and a killing vibe. Another beast, even bigger than the one Flash just wrecked, and the aura it brought with it, even more intense. Flash darted in right away, slashing a few light cuts. One down, another shows up. It was getting annoying as hell. Their whole crew had been grinding all day long, not a moment of rest. Even those stationed deeper inside the city were just as exhausted as the ones fighting at the front lines. Qingzhao had just climbed up to a higher spot and already saw a massive flood of beasts rushing in like a damn tidal wave. Thorn in the sixth city peeked down from the city walls. Hundreds of mutated beasts, big ones, small ones, even tiny little critters, all swarming in like sardines packed in a can. Qingzhao totally lost it. Why the hell were so many spirit beasts suddenly attacking this city? Since the beast army had split up and was hitting multiple cities at once, Qingzhao hadn't realized the others were in the same mess. Suddenly, the sky cracked with a loud snap. A spatial rift had appeared out of nowhere, but this one was different from the usual. That pitch-black rift looked like it was carved out of pure night itself, and then, boom, it opened wide into a real night sky. The whole territory they'd fought to claim had now become a giant battleground. Only the Dragon Island off in the distance was still enjoying its peace. Big Bird's shadow zipped across the dreamy purple sky at top speed, racing to bring fresh, blazing hot news. He was overjoyed to see Big Sis still in full battle mode, immediately dipped his head low, spread his wings wide in salute, and reported without delay. Didn't even need to be told twice. Big Sis heard the news and instantly knew the situation was tense as hell. She spun around, hollered out the names of her two little brothers. Glacier, Kaizhou, sounded like she had a soft spot for those two, because the moment she called, they turned their heads, eyes already knowing, something just went down. Nine Tails hovered in the sky, simply said, "Come with me. Something's happened in Crocodile City." Before the two could even answer, someone else appeared beside them. Wait, it was Po, Wine Deity's big brother. "I'll go with you." The void had opened up real wide, yet no one stepped through. And the spiritual pressure from it? Weird as hell. Qingjiao looked up, confused as ever. The void? Was it the master? After the fourth city was trashed to bits, Lava Dragon recovered and zoomed straight to the first city, also the central city, taking over for Nine Tails to guard the place. Alongside his subordinates, he started inspecting the vibration devices. After hearing how those damn gods had aimed for the vibration gear, Lava Dragon was a bit surprised at first, but quickly got it. Their ultimate plan was to invade Earth, a process that would normally take ages. But if they could snatch those devices, it'd solve a whole bunch of their problems. They failed last time, but he was sure they'd be back for more. Yule nodded in agreement. There were still countless hardships ahead. Amid all the chaos, the biggest win was that the beasts from Misty Fog Mountain had managed to push back the gods of this world. That alone proved they weren't invincible. Even that golden monkey managed to take down a god all by himself. The hidden strength of those Misty Fog beasts was downright terrifying. Yule had been on their side for quite a while, but every time, he couldn't help but be amazed. At first, he'd followed the beasts in hopes of gaining power beyond imagination, but now, with each passing day, he felt more and more bonded with these creatures who fought with everything they had and lived without regrets. To support them properly, Yule told himself he had to prepare better. He couldn't just keep relying on the master and the 10 great beasts. Answering Lava Dragon's words from earlier, he said, "Got it. I'll take care of everything from here." That was when suddenly one of his subordinates screamed, "Sir, there's an image coming from City 6. On screen was Qingjiao, standing beneath a sky where a void had just ripped open, and even he didn't seem to know who had opened it. Yule took one glance and instantly had a thought flash through his mind. This void looked just like the one that appeared in the skies above the Freedom Federation, back when the elves had first invaded. But he didn't panic, didn't say anything to Lava Dragon either, because he knew Lava Dragon would recognize it at first sight. It was them. They'd come, and faster than anyone expected. But that wasn't even the end of it. Intelligence reports came flooding in. Not just City 6, voids had also opened above City 2, City 3, and City 5. All of them, the same kind of void, which raised the obvious question, what about the command city? And then came the shout, "It's here, above us." Didn't even finish yelling when everyone heard it. The sound of space tearing open right above their heads. Shards rained down like glass. That sealed it. Every single city now had a void hanging overhead. After a while of no movement detected, but here, something was different. The void had been open for a while, and still no movement. Then a massive, long eye appeared, staring down from above. It didn't shift or blink, just stared, and it looked exactly like the one from back when darkness descended. Yule could feel the pressure leaking out of that thing. It was brutal. Tension skyrocketed as the intel guy kept shouting update after update. Blossom Federation and Freedom Federation have both reported. The feed from their side popped up on screen. 4 super beings stood beneath the void, all on high alert. Blossom only had 3, one of them, a very familiar figure. Who else could it be but Xiao Ling? She tilted her head up, watching, until something started to move. At first, it was small, just a faint squelch. Then a whole chunk of black mass started sliding out of the void. It dropped down like sludge. The super beings didn't even blink. They'd been expecting elves. But this? What the hell was this? That black slime slammed into the ground, a huge column of it. It was so heavy the earth shook beneath it, booming loud and deep. Then, like floodwaters pouring into a village, the mass spread, a huge dark mess streaked with purple, covering everything in its path. Before anyone could figure out what it was, it started to rise, pulling itself together into a tall, towering form, bubbling and squelching like someone kneading slime in their hands. Next thing they knew, it had taken the shape of a robed god. Its whole body formed from the sludge that had just fallen. The aura it gave off was nothing short of terrifying. Xiaoling saw it, and her face immediately darkened. The patches of purple grew larger, opening into pits, out of which poured hordes of hideous, savage beasts. They weren't just howling, they could speak. "All of you, come to Mommy's arms," the voice rang out. "Capture them all." The beasts rushed out like wolves on the prairie, each one leaping from its pit and locking onto a target like it was mealtime. As for the god in the cloak, he just floated there in the air like he had nothing to do with them. Back in City 6, another god had appeared, looked just like the one before, only with a slightly different cloak to tell them apart. He stared silently at the people watching him from atop the city wall. Didn't move, didn't say a thing. Qingzhao couldn't act either. The spiritual pressure radiating from the thing was so overwhelming, sweat rolled down his face without him even realizing. What the hell was that thing? The spiritual power is so terrifying. Then suddenly, from behind Qingzhao, a beam of light streaked out like lightning. Whoosh! Straight ahead. It was a rat. A single rat throwing its whole body into the face of a beast that had just gotten close to the wall. Fast and fierce, but the gap in power was massive. One hit and it was dead on the spot. But this rat horde wasn't moving on instinct. They were acting under Leng Feng's will. He charged up from behind, shouting, "Qingzhao, focus!" Just one moment of distraction like that, and a beast could have taken his head off. This battle, there's no room for zoning out. Down below the wall, the horde of beasts grew thicker, like they were waiting for that god's signal to attack all at once. "The aura of that thing," Leng Feng growled. "It's just like the creature master faced when we first came to this planet." He clenched his teeth, the memory coming back strong. The gods of this world. That meant they were now up against the strongest force this entire planet had to offer. "Hey Qingzhao, look at the sky!" Thorn shouted, but honestly, it wasn't even necessary. That brutal new wave of spiritual pressure hit, and everyone felt it. Another one in a pitch-black cloak, dark like a greasy kitchen rag. A new god had shown up, but this one didn't have any crest on his face. Instead, his face was just a shadowy void, and his neck looked weirdly short, like it had sunk into his shoulders. One god was already a nightmare, and now two at once? But this new guy didn't seem to be with the fuzzy cloaked one. The moment he appeared, he turned and bolted in the opposite direction. What the hell was that about? No time to figure it out. Leng Yu came running in, panicked, shouting, "Everyone! Just got word from the other cities. Every single one of them's got a god showing up now." City 3, where White Tiger had already spread his wings, flying up to meet the god face to face. But the god just hovered there, doing nothing. Over at the Freedom Federation, a god with a red crest on his face was waiting silently, like he was expecting some kind of signal. Still, no movement. City 2 was shrouded in smoke, thick as fog. No beasts, no people, just a single black pillar standing tall, strange green circles glowing all over it. Somewhere deep in the city, a glint, eyes from a mutated beast. No one could tell if it was friend or foe, but the bloodlust in its eyes was clear as day. Over in City 5, beast corpses from Misty Mountain littered the ground, giant red ants dead in heaps. A god stood atop a tilted slab of stone, cloak fluttering in the wind. He looked around and muttered, "All these beasts I brought, and not one strong creature here. What a waste." He waved his hand, and a few glowing circles appeared in front of him, just like the ones the gods used to stand on during their meetings. A beam of light shone down before him. He raised a hand and started chanting something in a foreign tongue. No one understood a word. Then the light vanished, and in its place floated a triangular block, like the one in City 2, but shaped differently. "Good. Let's see how the others are doing," the god murmured. Just as he was about to move, a streak of pink light blasted him right in the face, knocking him flat on his back with a bam. At that speed, it could only be Flash or Zillion. No words needed. He just showed up and punched him square in the face. But the sharp jab from her mantis claw didn't land clean, because the god had transformed into a mass of writhing tentacles like some kind of octopus. Even though he caught it, he had to admit, the speed of this creature was insane. The god growled, "Where are my subordinates? Weren't they supposed to stop you?" Zillion's tone was almost casual. "What subordinates? I wasn't really paying attention." Then he added, "They were probably killed already, in a blink." And the mantis wasn't lying. Behind him, a pile of beast corpses was stacked high.